Hello there, you're watching on television. This is State of Business. I'm Pumutha Katagampala. We have our top stories. Bondholder groups expresses willingness to engage. Private sector credit continues to contract. Welcome back here with State of Business. Now let's have a detailed look at today's stories. Now, the ad hoc group of Sri Lanka bondholders recently informed the International Monetary Fund of its willingness to engage in the efforts to restructure Sri Lanka's external debt and restore its sustainability. In a letter to IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva, the bondholder group said, through its steering committee, it stands ready to engage quickly and effectively with the Sri Lankan authorities. It plans to design and implement restructuring terms that would help Sri Lanka restore debt sustainability and allow the country to regain access to the international capital markets during the IMF program period. The bondholder group's written representation is following its acknowledgement of the Sri Lankan authorities' engagement with their official creditors towards a resolution of the current crisis and restoration of debt sustainability. Foreign private bondholders account for $14.5 billion or 31% of the $46.6 billion external debt outstanding. The bondholder group further acknowledged that such engagement has recently resulted in the Government of India delivering letters of financing assurances committing to support Sri Lanka. It pledges to contribute towards restoring debt sustainability by providing debt relief and financing consistent with the IMF Extended Fund Facility arrangement and the IMF program targets indicated in the India letter. The letter holds that, based on the limited information availability to the group at this time, including information contained in the India letter, it understands that the IMF program's debt sustainability targets are identified as reducing the ratio of public debt to GDP to 95% by 2032, limiting the central government's annual gross financing needs to GDP ratio to 13% in the period between 2027 and 2032, central government annual foreign currency debt service at 4.5% of GDP in every year between 2027 and 2032, and closing of the external financing gap. The bondholder group, through the letter, confirmed to the IMF that it is prepared to engage with the Sri Lankan authorities in restructuring negotiations. This will be consistent with the parameters of an IMF program and the targets specified therein, which the group understands to be the targets identified in the Indian letter. It was noted that the finalization of an agreement will also be subject to the satisfaction of the following conditions. The central government's domestic debt, defined as debt governed by local law, is reorganized in a manner that both ensures debt sustainability and safeguards financial stability. Between 2027 and 2032, assuming that annual gross financing needs should not exceed 13% of GDP, whilst allowing for the central government annual foreign currency debt service to reach 4.5% of GDP, domestic gross financing should be limited at 8.5% of GDP. While we recognize that the determination of the economic assumptions underpinning the IMF program targets is ultimately the responsibility of the IMF, and that the overall design of the IMF program is one that is negotiated between the IMF and Sri Lanka, it is nevertheless important that the bondholder group has the opportunity to express its views on both the economic assumptions underpinning these IMF program targets and the adequacy and feasibility of the adjustment efforts contemplated under the IMF program. When considering any restructuring proposal that is made to the bondholder group, it is the bondholder group's intention to take into consideration the extent to which the economic assumptions and the adjustment efforts are consistent with these views. Recognizing the important commitments made by India in the India letter, the Sri Lankan authorities will apply the principle of comparable treatment in respect of the debt relief requested and obtained from all their remaining official bilateral creditors. Meanwhile, the contraction in the credit extended to private sector borrowers from commercial banks deepened in December 2022. Now, this extends the streak of declines for the 8th consecutive month. The data showed that private credit plunged 72.6 billion rupees in December, accelerating from the 30.9 billion rupee decline seen in November. With the bumper policy rate hike in April, banks grew cautious over extending loans and thus tightened their credit standards to limit the impact from target-scale default while borrowers waited on the sidelines. With December data, total outstanding private credit in the commercial banking system was 7,426.6 billion rupees by the end of 2022 compared to 6,981.4 billion rupees a year ago. The still reflected 6.4% uptick solely caused by the sharp rupee devaluation from March through May, which inflated the domestic credit in rupee terms during the period. Economy is currently witnessing a slight easing in financial conditions after the relative improvement in liquidity conditions in the country, saving at least an outflow of $6 billion. Private credit is an important economic barometer which shows whether the economic actors are willing to spend on investment and consumption. The continuous decline corresponds with the worst decline in the economy witnessed in 2022, which is estimated to have contracted by at least 8%. Banks are expecting a moderate growth with the easing of financial conditions on the back of a $2.9 billion International Monetary Fund bailout package expected in the first half. Stay tuned for more stories after this short commercial break. Welcome back, you're watching State of Business. Now, the Sri Lanka-Pakistan Business Council of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce recently called on High Commissioner of Pakistan, retired Major General Umar Farooq Borki. The High Commissioner was briefed on various activities and initiatives being planned by the Business Council in order to promote trade and investment opportunities between Pakistan and Sri Lanka. In this regard, a delegation visit is being planned in early March 2023 by the Business Council to explore business opportunities with counterparts in Pakistan. A detailed discussion was held to strategize a way forward to optimize bilateral trade within the context of the current economic scenario. The Business Council appreciated the timely and expeditious actions taken by the government of Pakistan to facilitate imports from Sri Lanka despite current challenges. The High Commissioner underscored that such challenges must be viewed as a catalyst for capitalizing on valuable opportunities and that Pakistan would continue to prioritize its relations with Sri Lanka in all facets of cooperation. The High Commissioner further highlighted that Sri Lanka is considered as a very important regional partner with which Pakistan would like to further enhance its trade, business and economic relations. To this end, he apprised that business visa applications from Sri Lanka are being processed on priority within 24 to 84 hours by the High Commission, subject to fulfillment of requirements. Pakistan's Trade and Investment Attaché Asma Kamal briefed the participants regarding the various high-potential sector-specific trade exhibitions being organized by Pakistan. She invited Sri Lankan importers, exporters, manufacturers, buying houses and businesses from various sectors to participate in the upcoming 4 mega trade exhibitions being organized in Pakistan. These include the Engineering and Healthcare Show, the Tech Spring Pakistan for ICT sector, the International Food and Agriculture Exhibition, and the 4th edition of the International Textile Exhibition known as Texpo. Meanwhile, the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, with support from the US Agency for International Development, launched a study on digital maturity. Now, the study assessed the current digital maturity of Sri Lankan small and medium-sized enterprise exporters. The study assessed 329 SME exporters that represented all 9 provinces, key export sectors and subsectors including women-owned or led businesses. The study identified SMEs' technology adoption capacity, strengths, weaknesses and readiness to use digital technologies in international trade and provided recommendations to improve SMEs' digital readiness. Findings reveal a wide variance in the digital maturity of SME exporters. The study calculated a maturity score for each SME based on the survey responses and on to what extent technology and digital processes were integrated into the business's day-to-day operations. Scores ranged from 8.8 to 98.8%, with 42 from the SME cohort below 25%, 96 in the range of 25 to 50%, and a 106 averaging from 50 to 75%. The study also highlighted the ICT sector as having the highest digital maturity at 79%, followed by tea at 64% and rubber-based products at 61%. Digital maturity is also affected by factors outside the business's control, such as IT infrastructure, which is better in certain provinces than others. The assessment also found that SMEs have stable operations and processes to manage their businesses, and there is substantial room for improvement in incorporating digital initiatives into business processes. Digital maturity of SMEs was surveyed across 5 core dimensions, enabling environment, strategy, technology, operations, human capital, and culture. USAID's Partnership for Accelerating Results in Trade, National Expenditure and Revenue, and partner activities supported this study. Partner facilitates trade and strengthens government efficiency to fuel broad-based economic growth in support of the government of Sri Lanka's vision for economic development and improved international trade. Meanwhile, in another initiative of the State Tourism Ministry to uplift the tourism sector in Sri Lanka, an agreement has been inked recently between the Ministry and Tawfiq Travel. This is one of the largest travel management and promotion corporates in Qatar to bring 1 million high-end tourists from the Middle East. Tawfiq Travel has pledged to invest in the tourism and hospitality sector in Sri Lanka in the future and confirmed an investment of $3 million immediately to the sector to be invested through the State Tourism Ministry. Meanwhile, considering the influx of tourist arrivals, Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, Nimal Siripal de Silva has directed officials at the Katunayake and Matala airports to open additional visa counters to expedite the service process. It was revealed during a progress review meeting that Russian tourists coming to Sri Lanka from Matala Rajapaksa International Airport have to wait for over 4 hours to obtain visas upon entering Sri Lanka. This is given the increase in the number of tourists arriving in the country with the start of the tourist season. The minister had instructed the chairman of the Sri Lanka Airport and Aviation Service to immediately deploy additional staff in opening additional visa counters to assist immigration and immigration officers working in the airport. Since many new airlines, including Bulgarian and Israel Airlines, have expressed their interest to resume service to Sri Lanka, the minister has also instructed that the necessary preparations be made. A group of officials, including Minister of Tourism Harin Fernando, Minister of Health Kelly Rabukwella, and Minister of Sports Roshan Ranasinghe participated in the discussion. Stay tuned for the stock updates. Welcome back, you're with State of Business, and now the stock update. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on negative notes today. The Osha Price Index dropped 78.47 points to close at 9,100.14, and the S&P 20 dropped 27.02 points to close at 2,836.62. The turnover was 2.3 billion rupees and over 73 million shares were traded. Coming up next are Forex rates. And with that, we wrap up for today. For this and more, subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. Thanks for watching.